Hi everyone, this is Kyle with kayDbait. I wanted to make a video. I've just finished making my other video on just being considerate to people that are different than you. And I wanted the whole purpose of that previous video, I was going to bring up a point and I just ran out of time. So I'll do it in this video, which is I was reading an article on Cracked. I know some people don't like Cracked, but I was reading it. It was an interview pretty much, or kind of an assessment of the interview of somebody living in the Netherlands who was an extremely, they were from an extremely religious family. And their family may or may not believe in the practice of honor killing. And the concept of honor killing, and this isn't the point of the video, but I wanted to just explain this exists, and it does exist, is when somebody within a family dishonors their family through action or inaction, or their behavior is considered bad. Just think of any Japanese movie where somebody commits seppuku. I have dishonored my family, and they kill themselves. I'm not trying to insult their culture or anything, but think of that forced onto somebody else. So instead of suicide, it is now murder. And while people can disagree or argue on the logistics of both of those, I'm just talking about that as a concept of existence. There's also in Africa a common trait called I made a video on it before. It's where you try to rape somebody into being straight because they're gay. And that one's really bad. Correctional rape, is that what it's called? I don't remember. I made a video about it a couple months ago, maybe a year ago. I don't remember anymore. I think it's called correctional rape. But anyway, these concepts, in one, it's more of a religious thing, and in another, it's more of a cultural thing. But it's the idea that you have to fear repercussions for your actions that go well beyond the norm of what should be acceptable. You know how people say, oh, it's just a cultural thing, you can't really judge it, and I've said that as well, is I don't want to judge another culture because I'm not part of it and I can't understand it fully without being part of that culture. Oh, they do this differently than I do, so it makes me uncomfortable, but that's not, grounds for judgment, and I have to be careful about that. These ones are bad, and I've made a video on this a long time ago about things that I will 100% say are wrong and believe they should be never done again. One of them was correctional rape. One of them was genocide. This honor murder thing as well, honor killing should be done away as well. These concepts is what I wanted to make this video about, of why these concepts exist. And I'm kind of winging this episode, or whatever video, I don't know what to call these things. I'm kind of winging it a little bit, where I have the basic idea and I'm just trying to get the information out. These concepts, just that they exist gives me, anxiety. I don't understand why they exist, and I don't understand how we can have, in a modern society with all of this information at our fingertips, all of this cultural development and technology, and all of this everything, and we still have these people that are so backwards in their thinking that they believe it's okay to be offended, or to be, and I know offended is thrown around a lot, that's not what I mean. I don't mean that kind of offended. I mean their family is dishonored kind of offense, that they are justified in actively killing you, or hurting you, or destroying your life, that somehow these mentalities still exist and are actually not that uncommon. Now, I know that disdain for rebellious behavior, that's normal. It's pretty common. Oh, go to your room, stop listening to that music, I don't like it. No, you're not going to get a tattoo. No, you're not going to wear short skirts, or you're not going to wear that leather jacket and, long hair and spikes or whatever. You're not going to do all that stuff because I forbid it. And however you want to believe that should be handled, because that's a different thing. It's a completely different level. There is an acceptable level of, I am your parent and, I'm trying to do my best and I don't know what I'm doing, versus I'm going to kill my children. There's a difference and it needs to be addressed. So I'm not talking about just normal rebellious behavior being responded to by a parent that doesn't know exactly how to handle it. Or even if they do know how to handle it, being unable to properly, mistakes can be made. But actively seeking the death of somebody is not good. And then again, you can make a comment, oh, if they're a terrorist, you can actively seek their death. Again, that's something different. I'm not talking about that. So I keep like, oh, I can say this, and then I have to correct something about it. And this is the reason why I'm so bad at these videos, is I'm always trying to be as clear as possible, and then I get sidetracked with clarifications as opposed to actually saying what I'm trying to say. So you have these ideas, these moral obligations that these people feel that they have to either threaten or abuse or actively kill members of their own family or within within their environment, like neighbors or whatever, and hurt people just actively and without remorse. They're actually like, I must do this because it's the right thing to do, when actually it's like the opposite of that. So where does it come from? It comes from ignorance. It's always come from ignorance. And it's not a cultural difference at this point. This is not about let them practice their own beliefs, because these are not beliefs. These are dogmatic, ignorant, self-perpetuating kinds of putridity. It's cultural putrid. And it's what happens when a belief system, like thousands of years ago, this kind of, I can't really argue whether it was normal or whether it was accepted or whether for whatever reason these things started. But now we know it's wrong. It is a known thing to be wrong. And this is not because I'm from the Western world and I don't understand the other cultures. I understand enough of it to know that the vast majority of the people in your areas, that you practice this horrible thing, and the people around you usually don't. And even if they do, like in certain areas of the world where it's a political thing, where the country itself perpetuates something, and it's usually the government doing it, that is another issue that needs to be addressed, because the UN exists to stop those things as well. Government attacking their people and then justifying it as, they were just being whatever. Again, that's not right either. So you have to know that there's a larger, broader form of morality that goes beyond culture, and that is what I'm talking about. So when I say you are wrong to murder your child because they're acting out in a way you don't agree with, whether it goes against your religion, your belief system, your idea of what is good, hurting them is not okay. I'm not talking about spanking again. I'm not talking about little stuff. I'm talking about big stuff. I'm talking about locking them in your basement and torturing them to death, or, cutting off their head, or, stabbing them to death, or drowning them, or putting their head through a wall. These are not good things. These are not going to make you better. They're not going to make them better. And saying all those things in succession, it bothered me so much just in my mind of how can these exist? How can people do that? And I look at it and I'm like, well, if I was born in that area, I might believe that. And I'd be wrong if I believed that. Just because I would do it doesn't make it right. And I'm not saying I would do that. I'm saying if I was born in that part of the world with their knowledge, their culture, their history, their religion pushed onto me my entire life, I would probably be pretty messed up, or at least very different than I am now. So think about the implications of these belief systems. The reason there is an overarching, more than culture, morality, a morality that goes beyond culture. The reason that can exist, and my justification for my belief systems in this regard, and this is my belief system, so take it with a grain of salt, is when an action is beneficial to the world, a humanitarian, universal benevolence. If an act is promoting of that, the act itself is generally, with context, something that can be seen as good. And the opposite of that, something that is detrimental to society, detrimental to the world, or detrimental to just individuals, like malicious intent, or things that take without giving back, things that are selfish, things that are damaging, and that are not benevolent. Those can be seen as bad. So things like genocide, things like, corrective rape, things, you do it because you think it's the right thing to do, but really it doesn't help anyone, because one, it doesn't work. It never works. Why would that work? There is no logic to that whatsoever. Normally it's perpetuated by ignorance and through the self-righteous, which is not the same thing as righteousness, and through, what's a good way of wording it? A lack of self-control and a feeling of, I'm going to do this good thing and I'm going to benefit from it in some ways well. So corrective rape is obviously you get to have sex with somebody. Oh, ho, how great. And at the same time, I'm fixing their life. No. You are all horrible, horrible people that do that. Every single one of you. Maybe you were just taught wrong, but still, you're a horrible person and you need to be, correct that behavior. I guess that's a funny way of wording it. Don't do it again. And repent for the rest of your life. So that's one way of doing it. Repent for the rest of your life. And I mean actively, not like, oh, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. I mean, go join a commune and live your entire life trying to become a better person, kind of. Sorry, because that stuff's messed up. Same with killing your children or anyone really that's, not actively trying to hurt you. I'm going to kill you because I disagree with you. That is bad. That's really bad. So I've gotten a little bit off. It's just, you can see them when they're wrong. You can, anyone that has the ability to understand reason, and the concepts of morality in that intricate way, because this is, again, my belief system. And just because I believe this doesn't mean it is the only way to see the world, but this is the way I see the world. And I guess for this entire video, it does sound kind of condescending now that I think about it, because I didn't explain that to begin with, is because of the way I see the world, the way I see morality, the way I see the origin of morality, or at least the justification, my justification for my moral compass, is it has to be based off of context of the situation, awareness of what's going on, so you can take everything into consideration, a benevolent, overarching reason for your actions, and just something that's beneficial to others and not just yourself. So when all of that is together, I would believe that is an inherently good thing to do. And then there's a lot of gray area. There's a lot, like 99.9999% of every action ever is in that gray area. But the things that are on the opposite end of the good spectrum, the bad ones that are in the red, that are solid bad, are within context wrong, are damaging to somebody, are due to ignorance and not awareness, or I guess if you're aware of the situation being bad and you do it anyway, but then I would consider that a form of insanity, really, selfishness and stuff like that. I believe selfishness is like, it's an inherent thing people have. Everyone's kind of selfish. But when you use that selfishness as an overarching value system as opposed to any other thing, it's like, oh, if I can get this, screw anything else, I'm going to get it. Then I would believe that's your value systems are all messed up, and you won't serve a good function within a society, and you're dangerous. I believe some people have problems, like kleptomaniacs might not want to steal things, but they have to, and they can be helped. But when somebody's actively knowing they're hurting people and they just relish it, then, there's a problem that needs to be addressed, usually with, incarceration and rehabilitation that might not even work. It's another thing that we need to fix. But when you're in the red so far of everything, situationally bad, contextually bad, just hurts everybody, just everything bad, those are the things, they shouldn't exist. They should be eradicated in every way. Saying genocide should be eradicated is kind of a funny thought. But, I've always thought that ideas are good. Like, there really aren't any bad ideas, because, they're a creation of our minds. But those ideas are bad, and they need to be, contained at the very least and looked at with fear, never to do these things because they're really bad. And again, I'm talking about genocide, corrective rape, and honor killing and all those things. And it's just that people still believe them and actively practice them it blows the mind, when my mind anyway, and it makes me very uncomfortable. Not because I don't want to see that these things are happening. It's like, oh, I shouldn't, I can't look at this. It's not that kind. I'm saying, as a human, I feel like it diminishes my value as a human because I am a part of the same race as somebody that does this. That's what I mean. Is I will not, like, maybe if I was looking at it, I would be squeamish about it, but I know it exists, and it shouldn't exist. And the idea that people within the United States do stuff like that, I know people that do that. Like, I personally know somebody that hurts people for their own benefit, and if they have the same mentality, maybe they don't have the same ideas, but if they believed it was the right thing, they would kill all of us because they feel completely justified in everything they believe. So, and I mean, pretty much everyone does, but I consider everything, heavily before acting, so that person doesn't, and it worries me greatly. But that's the mentality. That's really what this video is about, is this negative action of just, I'm going to murder you because it's okay for me to do that, and it shouldn't ever be okay to do that. And I just wanted to make that argument, I guess, that, when you have something bad but you think it's good, so you start spreading it around, or teaching your kids that it's okay, and your kids run away in fear because you're pretty much telling them, I'm going to murder you if you don't listen to me, and then you murder them because they ran away, and it's just, this isn't a good thing. I don't see any benefit from this whatsoever. Maybe I'm wrong. Please leave a comment on how I'm wrong. That would be an interesting conversation, and I would listen. I would honestly want to know how your thought process went and what it means. And I won't agree. These are one of the very few things that I won't agree on, is I will never believe. And I know a lot of people are like, well, if you're purely logical, then evidence will give sway, and there is a possibility of changing your mind. And I accept that. I do believe that. But I believe that there is no evidence at all that exists, that is not completely fabricated or lied or misquoted or out of context. I don't believe that evidence exists. So that's why I won't ever agree with you. That's why I can safely say that, is I honestly do not believe that it can exist in a moral context. So that's the whole video. And I know it's not as none of my videos are really streamlined, but um, I enjoyed this one. I think that while it was a little everywhere and I didn't explain myself properly, that I'm taking a different approach to the videos, and I'm trying things out a little bit more, because this one was more, I just had the idea, I made a different video, messed it up, still gonna upload it. I liked it. I'm making another one. I'm having fun with these videos. I know the topics aren't always yay, but I do believe that I really enjoy doing this. It's like you have somebody that just really likes to knit, or that really likes to stack cards or whatever. It's like, oh, that looks really boring, but to them they love it, and I love this. So some people, like, they really like hard work and getting dirty and getting sweaty and like that. I've done that before, and I can have a lot of fun doing that if I believe that I'm really helping, but I don't know enough about it to actually be helping. I'm like, oh, I just knocked over the wheelbarrow. I did that so many times. But it's just this, talking to whoever wants to listen about things that are important to me and that I think are hopefully are important to other people, or that my talking can help. I'm not the best speaker. I'm not the best, at keeping a coherent thought, but I really hope that these videos are good, because I really enjoy making them, and I'm trying to get better. I really need to do a little bit more prep before I start these videos. Like, I've been not doing that, so um, I really love this and I want to do it more. So I hope this video was entertaining. I hope that it was informative, and I hope to see you in the next video. And I finally got my outro. I did this twice in a row and I really like it. So peace.